Okay guys, so let's start with the first section of BT, which is the purpose of business organization. Zoom in. Okay. Or, sorry, let me clarify this. It's just organization at first. Let's just call it organizations, and then you'll see why. If we look at the definition, they say an organization is a social arrangement which pursues collective goals controls its own performance and has a boundary. Has a boundary separating it from its environment. So boundary. So let me explain each one. That's the full ACCA definition. Social arrangement is people. We're talking about people, social people. Collective goals, these people work together for one objective. Common objective. Controls performance. For businesses, in this particular example, would be profits. Boundary means a border, like a country border. And what do they mean here? A boundary, why does an organization have a boundary? Well, there is a border just like a country. Because if you have a bakery, you have a border. You do bread, you bake bread. You don't do anything beyond that. You don't do computers, you don't do chairs. You see, that's why we say a boundary. Now, most organizations have a few things in common. They will have a variety of objectives and goals. People do different things. So you have different roles in the business. They have systems and procedures. How to bake bread, for example. And they will have some sort of input like flour that's get processed into bread or into dough, and then we have an output, which is the baguette, the piece of the loaf of bread. Now, if we think about this for a second, individuals, why do we need to have an organization? Why can't people do it themselves alone, right? So if I say organization versus alone or individuals. Well, when you're alone, there are limitations. You're not good at everything. So people can specialize in one area. Now, when you have a small business, you do everything yourself. You're the lawyer, you're the accountant, you're the baker, you're the seller, you're doing everything. So when you have more people as an organization, everybody can choose what they're good at. You have economies of scale. That's a very important concept in the ACCA, which means the more you produce something, the more it's cheaper to make, right? The bigger your factory, the cheaper it is to build each chair, each unit. You can accumulate and share knowledge when you have more people together. And you have what's called synergies, when 1 plus 1 equals 3. That's what we mean by synergies. Now, we saw what usually an organization looks like, the main idea, but how do they differ? How are they usually different? So let's do differences here. Well, could be size, big or small, simple. Ownership. Who owns the company? The directors, an external investor, an angel investor, the government? A mix of insider or outsider, meaning when you have shares available on the stock market, you have lots of small investors, whereas a family-owned business will have most of the ownership. The activity. A chair manufacturing company is a very different organization than a bakery or a government. So they have very different activities. Profit, not for profit. We will see that later. Companies is the most common one, but you have other types of organizations. Legal form. For example, a limited company, a sole trader, or a public limited company where you can buy shares, PLC in the UK. Sources of finance. So how did the money come from? Where did it come from? Is it from debt from the bank loan or from equity by shares from investors?